Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Gene Coltas. I'm the presiding member for the Metro Outer Development Assessment Panel this morning, and apologies for the delay in starting the meeting. We have had some technical issues and relocated rooms. I'll declare the meeting open at 9:53 a.m. and in doing so I acknowledge we're hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of Western Australia, pay respect to elders past and present, and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters and community. This meeting will be run in accordance with DAP Standing Orders 2024 under the Planning and Development Assessment Panel's regulations of 2011. The meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website in accordance with Regulation 42A of the Planning and Development Assessment Panel's Regulation 2011, and members are reminded to announce their name and title prior to speaking. During the meeting, panel members may refer to technical devices to assess them in considering the information before them. I'll introduce the members present. My name is Gene Coltas, presiding member. To my left is Dale Page, deputy presiding member, and to her left is Clayton Heim, specialist member. Online we have Councillors Bronwyn Smith and Councillor Jackie Huntley from the City of Wanneroo. And for Part C of the agenda, we'll have Councillors Tom Whitenbar and Councillor Michael Separovich from the City of Cockburn. Item 2 on this agenda, part of the agenda, is apologies. I have none. Item 3, members on leave of absence, there are none. And item 4, noting of previous minutes of the meetings are available on the DAP website. Part B of our agenda is from the City of Wanneroo and panel members, as I've introduced. Item 1 on the declaration of due consideration, panel members are asked to notify or advise that they've duly considered all of the documentation within Part B of the agenda and Part B related information, and also the 13 direction response, which was published on the 18th of June. So could panel members please indicate by raising their hands? And Councillor Huntley, if you could, Councillor. Yes, Councillor Huntley, if you could confirm that you've duly considered all the items.
Unmute, yeah. So you can hear me now?
We can hear you, yes, still can't see. Okay, item 2, disclosures of, there you are, thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Jackie. Disclosures of interest, I don't have any at this point. Councillors, was this item considered at a council meeting at all?
No.
Okay. All right, well, item 3, the application before us is for a proposed 2 group dwellings and ancillary dwellings at 50A Frederick Street, Wanneroo. We do have some presentations, and we have Nick Grinford from Urban Rise, or Grindred, and Andrew Hagan from Urban Living. Mr. Elsing was going to be here, but he is now a apology. And I'll remind participants in your presentation you have 3 minutes each. But seeing Mr. Elsing isn't here, I'll be a little bit more lenient on your timing. Right, Nick, I think you're first.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. I represent Andrew Hagan of Urban Living. Andrew will speak after me about the design considerations that Urban Living makes for specialist disability accommodation projects like this. To quickly explain why we've asked the DAP to determine what is at face value a benign small-scale housing development, this is one of many SDA projects that Urban Living is undertaking across WA. And with the introduction of the DAP community housing provider pathway, we decided to run this application as a test case. Having the same issue last week. We'd like to thank the City for their positive recommendation and for their time over the last week negotiating and agreeing on changes to conditions 5 and 6. I've added the changes to the conditions to this slide. Essentially, we've agreed with the city that the accessibility of the development should be given greater weight than the increased landscaping that the city was initially seeking to be provided via Condition 5. We also sought more clarity from the city regarding the intent of their initial wording of Condition 6, and they've come to the table by splitting the condition into two, one to deal with the driveway and another to deal with the crossover. As Andrew and Mark will speak to in greater detail, we're of the view that the deemed to comply landscaping and vehicle access requirements don't acknowledge the increased hard stand area that is necessary for people with disabilities to enter and exit their own home. And for this reason, we believe the landscaping that we provided is in a format that meets the ARCODE's design principles. To briefly address the design principles, having regard to the access and safety needs of the residents, we have provided sufficient landscaping on the horizontal and vertical planes between the street and house to contribute to the streetscape, and we've provided 2 trees to contribute to the microclimate and enhance the local tree canopy, as can be seen on this elevation. I also note that the DAP asked the city some questions about the planning compliance implications of assessment of this development as single or grouped dwellings pending subdivision. We support the city's responses to those questions with one exception, being that the ARCODES permit one ancillary dwelling per grouped dwelling, regardless of whether they're on separate lots. That being said, a subdivision application is in the system with the department. It's actually on hold pending determination of this application by the DAP, and we want to confirm that your intention, Andrew, is to implement it. Here's the subdivision plan. In summary, we're seeking for the DAP to approve this application subject to replacement of conditions 5 and 6 as per the amendments proposed by the city. In doing so, the DAP will be supporting the access needs of the future residents without unduly compromising the streetscape, access and landscaping objectives of the ARCODES. Thanks for your time. I'll hand over to Andrew and we're happy to take questions afterwards.
Thank you. Andrew, if you'd like to make your presentation, please.
Sure, I'll try and keep this very quick and high level because, as Nick said, the issues are pretty minor in terms of what we're trying to achieve. But to me, I'm very passionate about trying to make sure that our planning system caters for people with disabilities. My best mate, Mark, who couldn't make it here today because his support worker didn't show up on time, I want to try and make sure we can actually cater for people with disabilities. And at the moment, the ARCODES don't do that at all, in my opinion. And I've had a chat to John Kerry and everyone in between about it. So, yeah, I'm very passionate about trying to make sure that happens. So in the case of this project, we just want to make sure that people who live in these homes can actually access their homes and not be restricted by landscaping, which all of us here today enjoy having and enjoy looking at and can enjoy going in and amongst, like on grass. But someone in a wheelchair actually can't access grass. So to them, it might look nice, but they can't use it. It actually prevents accessibility. So the case in question here, and you might see on the plan, we've kind of modelled what a drop-off and pickup might be like for people with disabilities. You can see there's a car parked in the driveway and someone in a wheelchair potentially exiting that car. If we had to have the landscaping requirements that the city asked for, that the planning requirements tell us to do, and a car's parked in the driveway, then someone who is coming to their home couldn't access their own home because the car would prevent their access. So this is, I guess, the core principle about why we're trying to have more hard stand and less landscaping. Now, when you say that in those words, it doesn't sound like a great outcome, more hardscape, less landscaping. But the reality is accessibility is a key function of your own home. We don't think that the system currently allows for it. So that's really why we're here. And I think if Mark was here telling you that, he would say, he's obviously very passionate about accessibility, given he is wheelchair bound as well. And he and I spend a lot of time talking about design principles. He helps us with all of our designs and make sure we don't do anything that prevents people from having proper access. He would say it's almost impossible to understand the challenges you have being in a wheelchair unless you actually spend some time in a wheelchair, which I got to do for 3 weeks last year, which was very instructive, and it did show me how everyone's marginalised. And unfortunately, the planning codes don't cater for that. It's something I'm hoping to change in these new ARCODE updates as well, but that's what it is at the moment, and that's why we're here, trying to push for better outcomes.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Okay, I'll open up the forum for questions of the presenters. Councillors, either of you have any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Other panel members?
Just
Yes.
one, if we go back to that plan that was on the screen. It seems like to enable the disabled to access that car park at the front has to be shared from both sides. So in other words, if it goes to single lot, that can't be a fence down that line, obviously.
Well, it's
Just looking at the wheelchair position
Yeah.
there.
and of course that's kind of, you know, it's not specific because it's not, you know, it's just a plan. But
Yeah.
yes, the reality is we think if you don't have a fence there, then it provides better access for both parties. And it's probably unusual that you'd have two cars at the same time, both dropping off people at the same time. But the reality is, if you like, we've been asked to put a little landscaping strip in there, and we think that will make it harder to achieve that outcome. And you would have seen that in the plans. So yeah, there's almost like a bit of common sharing of that, even though there's a different property ownership. Ownership's always going to be ours, but you know, in the future, who knows? So yes, that is the case.
Thank you.
In the event that you do sell off one or both,
Yeah.
and there's a dispute and somebody puts a fence up, then it's not the end of the world, you know, because you probably would just adjust a little
Across.
bit further across.
Yeah. You
But
might
you didn't see the need for a cross easement of access or anything like that. I know it becomes difficult.
Yeah, not for now. The way the SDA market works, the way the scheme works is that it's a 20-year scheme. So we built this property, and for 20 years, the same funding comes through for people with disabilities who live in that property.
Yeah.
After 20 years, the scheme proposes that you can either spend some more money upgrading the home to make it more current and more modern, and then you get another 20 years, or, you know, it turns into something else.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you fast forward to that time, Gene, I think that's what you're talking about. Two people own it, they're doing different things there. It's maybe not even for disability, and they want to put a fence up. Then, yeah, you can do, but you might instead have to reverse in to drop someone off if they're always coming out that side of the car.
Yeah.
So yeah, there would have to be some minor adjustments, I imagine.
Okay. Any further questions? If not, thank you very much. We may come back to you in a moment, but
Thank you.
in the meantime, I will open up panel members to have questions of council staff. Councillors, either of you have any queries with council staff? Councillor Huntley?
I'm actually happy with it, and that explanation of the fence line and removing it at this stage is now clear. So yeah, I'm happy. So no questions from me.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, do you have any questions, queries? I'll just ask the question then. You're happy with or satisfied with the changes to conditions 5 and 6 as the presenters have mentioned, council staff?
Yes, thank you. We are satisfied with those changes. We had a discussion with the applicants prior to the meeting, and we came to that together. So yes, we're happy with it.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, well, in that case, the panel will now move into discussion and debate on the item if necessary. In order to do that, I will need a mover and seconder for the motion that's before us. The recommendation in the RA. Do I have a mover, please? Okay, move Dale Page. Seconder. Councillor Huntley, thank you very much. Dale, would you like to speak, please?
Yes, thank you, presiding member. Before speaking to the primary motion, I'd like to move a few amendments though, if I may.
Okay, amendment number 1 being?
Delete condition 1 relating to a dual approval under the MRS.
Okay. Delete condition 1. Do I have a seconder for that? Yes, Mr. Hyam.
Thank you, presiding member.
Thank you,
Simple reason the condition is no longer needed following commencement of the new Metropolitan Region scheme on the 31st of March 2025, and the city has confirmed they're happy for that to be deleted.
Okay, thank you. Any further debate on the item, discussion? If not, I'll put amendment 1. All in favour? That's carried unanimously, thank you.
Thank you.
Amendment number 2.
The second amendment is to delete condition 5 relating to the setback of the driveways from the future subdivision boundary and replace with a new condition 5 relating to construction standards for driveways and crossovers.
As per the presentation.
Yeah, the new condition 5 to be as per the wording suggested in the city's response to the Reg 13 request for further information, and to read: all car parking bays, driveways and access points shown on the approved plans are to be designed, constructed, drained and marked in accordance with the Australian standard for off-street car parking prior to the occupation of the dwellings. These bays are to be thereafter maintained to the satisfaction of the city.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Mr. Hyam, thank you.
The reason being the applicant and the city have agreed the requirement for a setback to the side of the driveways to ensure the proposal meets deemed to comply landscaping standards should not be prioritised over the accessibility needs of the residents. The lack of the landscaping strip will have negligible impact on the streetscape, and the new wording for condition 5 ensures that construction of the driveways and access points will meet relevant Australian standards.
Thank you. Mr. Hyam, you wish to speak?
I agree. As seconder, I don't think the landscaping strip of that width is effective in any case, and if it was to be required, I think it would make the parking much more difficult to manage.
Thank you. Any other further comments or discussion? If not, I'll put the item. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Amendment number 3.
Thank you. Amend condition 6 as per the wording suggested in the city's response to the Reg 13 request for information. The amended wording would be as follows: the crossovers must be designed and constructed to the City of Wanneroo crossovers and verge standard TS 07-3-5 before occupation of the dwellings.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Mr. Hyam again, thank you.
The reason is, given the deletion and replacement of condition 5, the city has agreed to the modification of condition 6 to relate to the crossover only.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on the item, on the amendment? If not, I'll put it. All in favour? Carried unanimously.
Thank you, presiding member. Reverting to the primary motion, I'm happy to support. Specialist disability accommodation is a commendable land use anywhere, and it's consistent with the residential zoning and density applicable to the site. The form of the development is such that it will blend with the existing context and it won't create any amenity issues for surrounding residents or the streetscape. It is tricky assessing and determining a proposal for group dwellings, which are intended to be ultimately single dwellings once the subdivision of the parent lot has been finalised. But in this case, however, the city demonstrated via their response to the Reg 13 request for further information that the differences between the two in terms of built form and discretion sought are negligible, and that even if the proposal was assessed under the single house provisions, the proposal would be considered to meet the design principles and would be supported. So happy with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hyam. Councillor Huntley, sorry, you wish to speak to the item?
No, not at this stage. I think everything's been said. So yeah, happy to support the item.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Smith, you wish to speak to the item at all? No? Any other panel members?
Well, I think most of it's really been said. I too support the housing for this purpose, and note, of course, as member Page has, that it was unusual looking at a group dwelling, knowing that it's going to become a single dwelling. But that aside, I think the intent is excellent, and the outcome, I think, will be excellent as well.
Thank you, and I support the proposal as well. We've given due consideration to variations and used discretion on boundary setbacks, outlawed living areas, landscaping, vehicular access, and the result is a development which will appear like two single dwellings. The ancillary dwellings are at a level which is below the ground level of adjoining residents. So from a visual impact, it's on amenity, it's not considered to be any too great. And from the streetscape, the landscaping out the front has improved the visual amenity of the proposal. So I'm supporting it fully, and I'll pass over to Dale to close debate on the item.
Nothing further, thank you for inviting me.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll put the recommendation as amended with the 3 amendments. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. That's approved. Item 4 on the agenda is Form 2 DAP applications. We don't have any. Item 5, SAP reconsiderations, there are none. So that being the case, I'll thank Councillor Smith and Councillor Huntley for your participation, and council staff as well. So we'll see you next time, perhaps. Thank you. Thank you, presenters.
Thank you.
Call up the others.
Good to go.
Okay, well, good morning everybody again, and welcome to the Part C of the agenda, City of Cockburn item, and I welcome Councillor Weidenbach and Councillor Separovich to the panel, and in doing so I'll ask that panel members signify that they have duly considered all of the documentation contained within Part C of the agenda and Part C related information by raising your hand, please. Thank you, that's unanimous. Item 2 on the agenda is disclosures of interest. Haven't received any at this point. Do any other members have a disclosure of interest? No. Councillors, was this item considered at a council meeting at all?
No.
Or these 2 items, I should say. Okay. That being the case, we'll now move on to items 3.1a and 3.1b, starting with 3.1a, which is the determination by the panel on number 95 Clarence Beach Road, Henderson, for 2 workshops, 2 offices, barge loading, wharf, land reclamation and associated hard stand. We have one presenter from Mr. Josh Dallimore from Taylor Burrell Barnett in support of the application. So I'll ask Mr. Dallimore to take a seat and make his presentation. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you for the chance to speak. I'll keep this pretty short because we are broadly very happy with the recommendations from both RARs. We appreciate particularly City of Cockburn and how cooperative they were in this application and getting to the final conditions that were recommended. The only thing we'd like to comment on is the condition 3 from the WAPC RAR, which recommends a 2-year substantial commencement period. And we'd like to request that this be a 4-year substantial commencement period to align with the City of Cockburn RAR.
Okay. Sorry.
That's all from me. So happy to answer any other questions.
Good, thank you. Panel members, are there any queries of Mr. Dallimore?
Not from me.
No, okay, thanks. We may come back to you later. Are there any questions of the council staff panel members? Dale, yes?
Yes, please, just a couple. Could you explain what the planning basis is for condition 5, please? It talks about keeping the site neat and tidy, weeds, litter, graffiti, and so on.
Riley, yes? Okay.
No sound.
Can you hear us? I recall this question being asked regularly when we get this condition, and you mentioned that it's a standard condition. He's going to phone us. He's going to phone a friend.
Okay, I'll
Having
pick it
problems.
up on the other. I think we should blame the weather. It's happening everywhere today. Let's blame the weather.
Riley, just call the DAPS number. Do you have that one? 6551 9919.
Budget time coming up. Councillors might have to throw a few more dollars at the IT system.
We actually have our budget meeting tonight, so yes.
Late item, I presume.
Maybe we can use the same contractor that fixes yours.
Don't do that.
No, kudos to them. That was a very, very quick turnaround for the right.
Riley?
Can you guys hear me?
We can faintly, but yes.
Okay, yeah, apologies for that, everybody, also having some technical difficulties. Yes, thank you. So condition number 5, you are correct. This has come up a few times in the past when we've brought meetings to the JDAP. Some of the feedback that the JDAP had provided to us previously was to, if we were to keep this condition, provide some dot points underneath that made it more specific in terms of what we're looking for. You may recall previously the condition was pretty much just the top bit without the A through to E. The reason why we were intending to put this on as a condition of development approval is because it actually allows the council to, I guess, enforce through the Planning and Development Act the maintenance of the site. To be frank, the sort of teeth behind the Planning and Development Act are a lot stronger than they would be under a local law that might deal with graffiti, for example. So we just think that having this condition now more specific allows us to actually address any concerns that pop up. So yeah, happy to clarify.
Oh, okay, thank you. So is it linked to anything? Can you link it to anything that's a planning basis in your scheme or policy or the regs?
Sorry, I don't know. Please. Did you hear that question?
We can't hear you.
General.
Oh, we got you now.
Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yep.
now we can.
Yep. There is a specific planning policy that deals with that. Apart from the industrial development local planning policy, which does have a general sort of catch-all that industrial premises should be kept in a neat and tidy condition. But, you know, probably more specifically, and if I were to just think of A3E, the things that are sort of the most important to us would probably be things around the weeds and the landscaping. Obviously, you know, the focus of council has been on landscaping and trees and urban canopies. So we think that this condition will allow us to actually go back if the landscaping is to fall into a bad disrepair in these industrial environments. Not to say that this particular operator would do that, but it is very easy for these things to fall into disrepair because often you wouldn't really receive the complaints you might do if it was in a commercial or a residential area. So I think it probably is more permanent in an industrial area for us to actually be able to enact the condition and enforce compliance on it. Again, no comment on what this operator may or may not do, but it just does allow us to actually enforce it and have a bit of statutory weight behind it.
Okay, thank you. My second question is, condition 13 states that prior to occupation, 13 bike parking spaces need to be provided. But it's not more specific than that. Does it need to be more specific, or are you comfortable that you and the applicant understand what is required, where it's required, and so on?
Yeah, I think that can just be something that is negotiated with the applicant. They may choose to indicate that on their building permit plans, and we can continue to have those conversations. Our local planning policy on industrial development does specify that the bicycle parking need to be located in the proximity to the entrance. So once the plans for a building permit come through, that will be something that we just check to ensure that it is aligned with that. But yeah, just as a note, that condition around the provision of bicycle bays was a recommendation of the Department of Transport. So that the city have just copied that recommended condition, but I think that's something that we're pretty comfortable we can negotiate with the applicant offline.
All good, thank you.
Any further? No? Clayton, do you have any questions? No. Councillors don't have any, that's fine. Okay, well, that being the case, we've had that answered. Just in regard to condition 5C, there's a little typo at the end where it says matter. I think it should be manner. We'll do that as a typo on that. Okay, all right, well, we have the recommendation. Oh, sorry, Councillor Separovich, my apologies.
Yeah, I've just got one fairly simple question. When we were referring the referrals and consultation with government and service agencies, so we've got referrals from Development WA, JETC, DOT and DEWA. I'm curious why there was no referral from Defence. Is that because it's federal instead of state? Because with the larger context of AUKUS and the Henderson consolidation that is due to be happening here, I would be more comfortable if, you know, we had got feedback from Defence saying there's nothing wrong with this going on in the future, because there are larger plans that are happening down in Henderson. I'd just like to know whether or not this is impacting on that at all.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Separovich. Yeah, this wasn't referred to Defence. We have in previous applications in the Henderson area have tried to engage with the Department of Defence, and in our experience, their sort of referral responses can be quite vague, for a lack of a better term. I don't think they're really willing to commit to any kind of specific planning referral, noting that there's, there can be defence matters that can be a bit private. So we have referred previous applications to them, and the other thing to note as well is the actual specific plans around what is happening with AUKUS as it relates to the Henderson precinct aren't really set in stone either. So it's unlikely that any kind of referral to Defence would bear much fruit. I do note that Development WA and JETC did refer to AUKUS in their referral response, and their response was pretty much like there may be some impacts on AUKUS in the future, but that hasn't really been determined yet because we don't have a solid plan in place. So I don't think that a referral to defence would have provided much in terms of a planning response.
We might have got an admission that Henderson actually exists from them, is what I'm hearing, but yeah, okay, fair enough.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? If not, we'll move into the item, and in order for us to do so, may I have a mover and seconder for the item? Moved, Councillor Separovich. Seconder,
Yes.
Councillor Weidenbach. Thank you. Councillor Separovich, would you like to speak to the item, please?
No, I've got nothing to add. It's perfectly normal. RAR's fine. Yep, it's a very straightforward application.
Thank you. Councillor Weidenbach.
No, nothing to add.
Okay. Other panel members, do you have any comments? Mr. Hyam?
Yeah, I just want to note that it aligns very well with the strategic objectives for the area, and while there are some variations sought, they are minor and can or have been addressed through the conditions as necessary. It's clear that the works are of strategic importance, which goes well beyond this precinct, so I'm more than happy to support it, and that's all I need to say at this stage.
Thank you. Dale, do you wish to say anything?
Probably nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, I'll be supporting it. It's been thoroughly addressed, and the RA picked up all the items, so I'll be supporting it. Therefore, I'll pass it on to Councillor Separovich to close debate on this item.
No, nothing further to add. Thank you.
Okay, all right, well, I'll put the item as recommended to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move now on to item 3.1B, which is the same development proposal, and I will invite questions of the Department of Planning officers. Any questions? Yes. I think the only one would be your position on the 2-year approval period. Do you have any objections for it going to 4 years to align with both? This happens regularly.
No, there's no objection to that being increased to 4 years to align the approvals.
Okay, that's fine. Any further, Dale? I think I jumped the gun on you there. Clayton?
No.
No. Councillors? No questions of the officers? Okay. All right, well, in that being the case, I will ask for a mover for the Councillor Separovich. Seconder. Councillor Weidenbach. Any further discussion? Councillor Separovich? No.
No, nothing further.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I'll need a mover to change the date in condition
3.
3.
Happy to move.
Yes. Okay. Let's move by Dale Page. Seconder, Mr. Hyam.
Reason
Okay.
it aligns with the recommendation of the city's RAR and the validity period specified by the DAP regulation.
Okay, all right. No further discussion. All those in favour? Councillor Weidenbach, didn't see. Yep, that's it. That's unanimous. Okay. Well, with that amendment, I'll put the item as recommended. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much, everybody. Moving on to item 4 on this part of the agenda, Form 2 DAP application, zero none. Item 5, Section 31, SAT recommendation, zero none. Part D, other business. Item 1, Supreme Court and SAT applications, they're listed. Item 2 is a meeting closure, and we'll close the meeting at 10:32 a.m. Thank you, councillors from City of Cockburn, staff from the City of Cockburn, staff from the Department of Planning and the presenter, and our very talented and efficient secretariat staff. And sorry for the mix-up earlier on and the delay for starting. We'll see you next time.